Going on YouTube, Cloverbell's here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and we are finally back. Yes! Alright, we were on the other side of the world, for a bit, but finally we have returned, and, just because we were on a little bit of a vacation doesn't mean we weren't paying attention to what was happening in the upcoming legendaries meta, and I want to talk about Pelipper today, right? So, it's kind of funny, because in a format where you have things like Kyogre and Groudon, as your dominant weather setters, if I told you weeks ago that Pelipper would arguably be the more preferred and more useful weather setter, you'd probably think I was crazy. But now, fast forward to today, which is basically almost May 1st, now maybe it's not so much of an outrageous thought, right? So what can Pelipper do this format that it wasn't already doing already? Well, the question is, it's still doing exactly what it was doing, right? But the main idea is that now you're getting a little bit more value out of this move called Wide Guard, right? Because, Wide Guard, like we said, is really, really good in regulationG just because there's so many of the better restricteds using spread moves, right? Think about the Calyrexes, with their Astral Barrages and their Glacial Lances. And then, just consider stuff like Water Spout and Precipice Blades. Pelipper says no, right? He says no because he's got this move called Wide Guard, okay? And then all in all, you don't even have to commit a restricted slot to, set your weather. But here we are, with Pelipper setting the rain for us, right? So, in terms of like the other stuff, yes, you're getting Tailwind, right? But some of these Pelipper teams that I'm going to show you, at the next time step in the video, they don't even use Tailwind. They just need Pelipper to do two things: set the weather and give me access to Wide Guard, so this way I get to play the game, okay? And that's really what it comes down to, right? If you're trying to limit Calyrex in restricting its best move, that's already a positive, right? Because you're taking away its most useful arsenal out of its repertoire in its spread move, right? So Tailwind and Wide Guard, and then you get access to Weather Ball as opposed to Hydro Pump, right? And this is going to be good whether you're playing Sun or whether you're in the rain. And Weather Ball in the rain is really, really strong. Okay, and you can just one-shot a lot of bulky Incineroars, right? Because you're going to get the boost. It's going to be 100 base power, and then you're in the rain, so it's actually really, really good. All right, and I've got a test battle to show you just how good it is, but more on that in a bit. And then over here, you just run Protect. You just run something like Hurricane if you are running Tailwind, right? This is the idea if you're running Tailwind. But some Pelippers, they don't even run Tailwind. They just run Protect, okay? And then this is your set, right? Terra, Ghost, and all. And then something like this with a Focus Sash here, right? If you're lazy and don't want to EV stuff, you just do this. Mod is 252, 252, and call it a day, right? So this is what a lot of Pelipper teams do, and we're going to show you a couple of restricted legendaries that have been able to utilize Pelipper, not only top cut tournaments, but also win them, okay? Because it's kind of funny how this guy is, like we said, running through the meta right now just because of this arsenal that he gets in Weather Ball and Wide Guard. And then the occasional Hurricanes, right? Which is great into stuff like Ogerpon and Amoonguss. Okay, like we said, Weather Ball pretty good into Incineroar. Okay, and then, just even access to Terra Stellar is something that I've also seen, where this Pelipper is just doing a ton of damage. Okay, because 95 special attack, even though it's not great, it's not paper, right? This thing is still doing like a decent chip. Okay, so, just consider that. All right, and then at the same time, you get to enable your other partner, something like Urshifu-Rapid Strike, right? Like Urshifu in the rain, okay, is really, really strong because now what you can do is just go for something like Choice Scarf, and then Surging Strikes, of course, now hits even harder in the rain, and you get to outspeed threats like Calyrex, so you don't have to worry about the super effective Psychic move in that sense, right? So that's the other idea behind Pelipper. But, just in terms of the other set, you can even, I've seen this where you have the Rocky Helmet bulky set, right? So basically you take away all of this, right? And then what you end up doing is going for just a little bit of speed, maybe either something like this where you're still going to run like max HP anyway, but maybe just like this much, at least outspeed, stuff like Incineroar, because Incineroar is like base speed 60. Some Incineroars are a little bit faster than others. So maybe like right up to here, 90. All right. So this way, if you did run that Tailwind set, 90 will let you outspeed some the Genie stuff and the Ogerpons in that sense, right? So you can even just consider that. And then after that, just maybe first bump here in Modest Nature, and then just dump the rest into either like Special Defense like this, which is great, into like regular Calyrex, Shadow Rider. You're able to like get that 2-hit KO. or you can go the other direction, right, and go to about I believe it was like 140-ish, right, and then just dump the rest here, right, and this allowed you to live the Glacial Lance from a Calyrex if you did not go for Wide Guard that particular turn, right, so it's actually pretty tanky, right, 100 base defense is not that bad at all when you max the HP in that sense, right, so you can even do like this bulky Rocky Helmet set, but again, at the expense of being subjective to the super effective electric attack from something like a Raging Bolt, for example, right? But other than that, the Focus Sash is the more dominant set, just because, you get a lifeline. You get a, one turn to do something, right? Where, you can take as much damage as you want, but still live to tell the tale, right? Just because you have that Focus Sash, right? But, again, the main restrictors that you're going to be able to use this with is something like Zacian, all right? Something like Zamazenta, and then the other one being the Calyrex Ice Rider. This is the most popular one, okay? So basically, what does Pelipper do for these guys? Well, first of all, you take away their fire weakness, right? These are both steel types. This is a nice type. All three of them are weak to fire, right? But then you bring in Pelipper, okay? Summon the rain, and now those fire type attacks are just not doing as much damage, which is important, right? And then at the same time, you give Zacian Tailwind, so this way you can go a little bit more bulkier, and then, still outspeed threats like another Calyrex, right? Because you're 2 speed short. And then same thing with Zamazenta. And then what this does with Zamazenta, okay, let me just take away these guys for a second. Because you have Wide Guard here, now you don't have to run Wide Guard on Zamazenta. Now you can just do Iron Defense, Body Press, and then you can run, now you don't need Wide Guard. Now you can run Protect, okay? And then you can still run a steel move like either Heavy Slam, or you could even run Behemoth Bash, depending on what you're doing with your Zamazenta, right? So that's the idea here. Like, you free up a move slot on your Zamazenta because this is your Wide Guard setter and not this guy, right? And then you get to click Protect, right? Otherwise, if you don't have Wide Guard here, then you need to put Wide Guard here, and now you don't have access to Protect, which is not terrible, right? But Protect is nice to have in VGC, right? So that's the idea. And then for this, and then after that, then you can run something like Calyrex, okay, where if you're running like Incineroar, Amoonguss, right, these are things, again, that can help you in games, right, especially against stuff like Groudon and Koraidon, for that matter. Like, by the way, Pelipper does really well into Koraidon because, again, you summon the rain, you take away the weather, and you take away the partner's sun, so goodbye photosynthesis, and then at the same time, you do super effective damage against Koraidon because it's a fighting type. So Pelipper having great value there, and then after that, this is where you round things out. Like, again, Amoonguss is something that also benefits from Pelipper. You remove that fire weakness in itself, right? So you start like this, and then after that, here's your Urshifu, okay, to give you this Fire, Water, Grass core. And then at the same time, you can either run something like Farigiraf, so this way you get a little bit of a better matchup into Calyrex Shadow, or you can go for the bulkier Raging Bolt with the Assault Vest, and now you get access to stuff like Snarl. Well, what is this move? Oh, sorry. So then you can do this, then you have Thunderclap, right? And, again, after this is like a pretty decent, solid team. Like, this is another one of those Calyrex teams with Pelipper that can do really, really well. This is going to be one of our rentals coming out in May, so stay tuned for that. But in terms of the other restricteds, yeah, all three of them are the most common use of Pelipper. So now what we're going to do is we're going to show you some of those teams just really, really quick, just to prove our claim and just show you how dominant Pelipper has been in some of these big tournaments. So let's take a look. Let's look at the Victory Road Spring Challenge, right? And this was only a few days ago. This took place this past weekend from April 27th, 28th. 260 players, pretty good. All right, and Pelipper ends up being on the winning team, right? And it's actually on the Calyrex Ice Rider team that we just talked about with Instant and Amoonguss. So if we just take a look at this, right, from Mr. Modri, right, you get standard stuff here with Choice Scarf Urshifu, again, benefiting from not only just the speed, but also the damage boost that you're getting with your Pelipper. See, there's no Tailwind here, right? But it makes sense. You don't need Tailwind on a Trick Room team. So you get the idea there. And then after that, it's just like pretty setup stuff with Goldango here, your Nasty Plot user, and then Calyrex, Instant, Amoonguss, like we said, right? So this ends up being the winning team. So that's pretty good. Like, this is your dominant weather setter in Pelipper, right? Then if we keep scrolling down here, right, we actually see a couple more Pelippers. This one, right, same idea. This one also has the Farigiraf here. This one has Hyper Voice and Shadow Ball. Again, after +1, Farigiraf is able to pick up those KOs against opposing Calyrex Shadow Riders with that +1 throat boost, so that's also pretty good there. But other than that, same kind of core, like Instant Amoonguss, Urshifu-Rapid Strike, throw in your Pelipper for your wide guard user, because now again, the Calyrex can't get hit by the Astro Barrage, which, it is weak against, right? Because, you are Psychic type, you're weak to Ghost. So Pelipper ends up being really, really useful there. You pin that slot. And that's the idea with Pelipper. It almost forces these pins where, like, okay, I can't click my best move, so what else can I do, right? So that's another Pelipper team, from Ryan over there. So shout outs to Ryan. And then if we keep going down, same thing here. Like, look at this. 7-2 teams from Fector and Jorge. Same idea with the Calyrexes, okay? And then this one has Rillaboom instead, as opposed to something like Goldango or Raging Bolt. But look at this. 1, 2, all right, 3 and 4, right? So 4 Pelipper teams in Top Cut. How many Kyogres do we see in Top Cut? How many Groudons and Kyogre teams do we see? So here's here's one Koraidon. That's 1. That's the only one. How many Kyogre teams do we see? 1 here, second one there. Is there a third one? No. So 2 Kyogre teams. How many Groudons? 1 Groudon in Top Cut from Giuseppe here with the Brown Zong stuff. So, combine Kyogre, Groudon, and Koraidon. You have 4 of those, and at the same time, you got 4 Pelippers. That's crazy. You got 4 Pelippers and 4 of the other legendary restricteds. All right, so again, just showing you how dominant Pelipper has been in some of these big tournaments. Let's go back a couple more days into the Himi Turner tournament, right? This was basically a regional, almost. All right, how many people were in this thing? I forget that the option that shows me how many people were here, but this is like an insane few hundred amount of people, right? Like 187 people. Okay, not quite a regional, but look at this. How many Pelippers? Look, another one on the winning team with Calyrex. This one had Ogerpon, so it just shows you that this 5th slot is subjective. You can get something else out of here, but he chose to put the Ogerpon here instead of the Urshifu. So that's Koji over here. This is Life Orb Pelipper, by the way. Life Orb Pelipper is insane with Terra Grass. Okay, that's of course pretty useful against the electric type attacks. So that's pretty cool. That's doing even more damage. But here's Zamazenta here with True Will Tank. Okay. And again, like we mentioned, like almost again, same idea, like Instant Amoonguss Urshifu-Rapid Strike. Throw in your restricted. This could have been Calyrex Ice Rider, but instead it's Zamazenta. Then you have Raging Bolt, the one that we talked about. Okay, and then here's your Pelipper. Like this is pretty good. Like again, it's a very common formula. Then if we keep going down here, here's again another Calyrex Ice Rider team that's using Pelipper. And then another one here from Damian Lillard VGC, same idea. Here's the Raging Bolt idea. With Pelipper at the same time. So that's the one we like. Okay, and then was there another one? No, there wasn't. So again, still like pretty solid all in all. Just considering how much Pelipper has been able to not just top cut, but also win tournaments. Look at this. Out of the top five here, Pelipper's on 3 of these teams, which is actually kind of funny and hilarious when you consider it, right? So what we're gonna do is let's just build this team real quick. So this way you get a Pelipper team of your own, and then we'll show you a quick practice game just to show you the value of it. All right, we'll keep it like this with the 252-252 spread with Protect as opposed to Tailwind. We don't need anything more than that. The Calyrex, of course, is going to be a very standard clear amulet set, with Glacial Lance, High Horsepower, Trick Room, and then Protect over here. And then I will just simply, you have a few options. You can either still go Terra Fire, which is great, against fire, against steel types. That's normally your weakness, and then you don't get burned by Will-O-Wisp. You can also go Terra Grass here to give you a little bit better matchup into Amoonguss, when you do click Trick Room, right? Because now the Amoonguss outspeeds you. Or you can even go Terra Water, which again, same idea against the fire and the steel weakness all in all. I think all 3 have good merits. We'll just go fire for now for the sake of the video. Then over here, Intimidate with the safety goggles. Again, that Amoonguss immunity is very, very important. Terra Ghost option as well to whiff the fighting move. That's something you might want to click against you, but basically here's what's happening, right? We're going Fake Out, but no Flare Blitz, right? And it makes sense on a Pelipper team where we're not really clicking a fire move because it's not going to be that much effective, because now we really need Will-O-Wisp, because in a format where there's so much clear amulet users like Calyrex and Koraidon, for example, we can't really intimidate them, but we can burn them, right? Which is the idea here. And then here's Throat Chop, which is again your move against the Calyrex Shadow Rider, and also able to remove clear amulets against those annoying mons, and also able to remove Assault Vest from key options. And then of course, the other move here with Parting Shot, your pivot move and your damage mitigation move, right? Then Amoonguss over here, with Regenerator. So this one can get the Rocky Helmet or even the Citrus Berry. Either way, it's still pretty good. Just be aware of as one where, you know, these berries are just not going to work. So if you prefer the Rocky Helmet here, then all the more power to you, right? But again, very standard set here with Rage Powder, Spore, Pollen Puff, and a Protect. Healing move is really, really nice. And then don't underestimate Terra Dark Amoonguss right now, okay? Because this is pretty good against the Shadow Rider. Because if they want to click a Psychic move to remove the Amoonguss, now you have Terra Dark here, where you're able to resist that completely. And then at the same time, you know, it's pretty good in terms of taunt options, right? But, you know, Prankster Taunt is what I mean. But then over here, Urshifu. So, you know, you don't really need, you know, it's still like good to go Choice Scarf here, just to give you some speed options here. But Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and then U-Turn, here's your pivot move. So, you know, Terra Water still pretty solid here. Again, you can also go Terra Grass here just to, you know, forget about Amoonguss in that sense, or just not care about Rage Powder because you are a grass type. So you can even do that. You can also go Terra Poison or Terra Steel for the fairy resistance, or just go for more damage with Terra Water. Either way is totally fine. I'll leave it like this here. Raging Bolt here with Thunderclap and Snarl. These are your main moves here. Then you get Thunderbolt, you know, another move that doesn't rely on priority, just so that, you know, you can click something against Fergraph stuff besides Thunderclap and Snarl. And then Dragon Pulse here, you know, just have one dragon move, Dragon Stab, right? So this is the idea here. Terra Fairy, still pretty solid on Raging Bolt. But I think we've got what we got in terms of our Terra options, right? You know, and let me just go Terra Ghost here. But Terra Stella is still like pretty good. But with Calyrex, I like this set, you know, where I go with a little bit of bulk with Adamant Nature. Let's go 116 bump, okay? And then dump the rest here in Brave Nature. Let's go Brave actually, right? 0 speed. So this set allows you to live Astral Barrage, right? Which is actually kind of funny, all things considered. But hey, you know, once you hit this benchmark, you know, you're still doing a lot of damage, right? And if you don't know what EV bumps are, make sure you comment in the video description below asking what are EV bumps. Because if you're trying to play competitive Pokemon, if you're trying to get better at doing EV spreads, this is important to understand, right? What are EV bumps? So comment what are EV bumps and I'll tell you what they are. Better definition, but, you know, again, very important skill to learn when you're trying to create EVs, right? Incineroar here, let's go Careful Nature, better resistance into Calyrex Shadow Rider. Let's go 236. Same instant spread that we've been doing for a while now. You know, we'll hit the bump here in special defense. Get a little bit of defense here, and a little bit of speed, you know, for the mirror matchup. Amoonguss, same thing here. Again, Relaxed Nature, 0 speed. You can go Calm. I think Calm is also pretty useful in terms of its merit, you know, resisting special attacks now. Again, Calyrex is just such a huge threat. But this is the idea here. Again, hitting the benchmark and just dumping the rest into special defense like this. 219 optimizes Regenerator Recovery, right? So this way you get a full-fledged whole number when you switch it out, not a decimal number, right? 218 gives you a decimal number, it'll round it down. And same thing, 221 will also round it down. So just 219 is the more optimal number. 73, perfect recovery, right? Urshifu-Rapid Strike here. I just go max speed Adamant here. You know, just again, getting the full use out of your Choice Scarf here. Let's get the bump here in attack stat because we don't really need so much investment there. Let's put 12 EVs here and just 1 point in defense, something like this. Raging Bolt. Let's go Modest here. You know, just in case of Rillabooms. I always go with something like this with 224, 188 investment. Again, this optimizes against grassy terrain recovery. Also pretty good for leftovers, right? Even though we don't have leftovers here, but this is still like a pretty decent number. And then in terms of like, again, right here, here's the bump here in Modest Nature, 187. Okay, and it also works in Sun for that matter. And that's the idea with Raging Bolt here. It gives you a photosynthesis mon, you know, if they want to take away your weather. And at the same time, you do get this idea, you know, for clicking Snarl against Calyrexes and clicking Snarl against Kyogre, even Terrapagos if they don't have, you know, the Clear Amulet or the Covert Cloak, right? So you get to punish them that way. Same thing with Miraidon, right? If you Snarl them, you get to punish them, right? And you just don't get that value out of Fergraph, right? So that's my reasoning with Raging Bolt on this particular team in that sense, right? But anyway, you can go right here. This is pretty good, you know, getting a nice whole number with your photosynthesis buff, right? I used to go like right here to about 187, 188. You know, this is if I had my Calm Mind leftover set. But if you want like a little bit more perfect number, you can go to 124 special attack investment in the Modest Nature, right? Then you just need 1 point here in the speed, or just like a little bit more, you know, just for like mirror matchups, and then just dump the rest into defense like this, right? You're getting a lot more value out of your Assault Vest. But what you can also do is actually put a little bit more in your special defense like this. This is going to let you survive more Astral Barrages from Calyrex Shadow Rider. I believe now it's a 3-hit KO, or even 4-hit KO, you know, with this investment, which is actually kind of funny when you think about it, right? The fact that you can just sit in front of Calyrex and just click Snarl, because it just doesn't do a lot of damage when you have an Assault Vest like this, right? But anyway, these are just like very general quick EVs, you know, just so that we can jump onto ladder and just show you, you know, the benefits of having Pelipper on a Calyrex Ice Rider team like this, where you have so much utility out of Wide Guard. So let's take a look at the practice game. All right, so here's a perfect matchup, right? This is Calyrex Balance, right, with Chi-Yu and then Instant Rillaboom here. It's interesting that he has double terrain here with Rillaboom and Indeedee, you know, taking away one terrain over the other. Usually you don't see that. Sometimes you see this with Miraidon a little bit, if they're like the Calm Mind set, but not really on Calyrex. So this is actually a weird team. But other than that, it still gives me the vibes of Calyrex Balance. But again, Pelipper looks really good here. You've got Wide Guard for the Calyrex. You got Hurricane for the Rillaboom and even the Ogerpon here, which I expect them to bring. And then you have Weather Ball into Incineroar, which is going to one-shot it, and even Weather Ball into Chi-Yu, which also lets you do more damage, by the way. So, you know, Pelipper looking good against 5 of these mons, okay, with the exception of Indeedee, right? But that's still pretty fine. So here we go. All right, he's going to lead Indeedee Calyrex stuff, so that's pretty standard. Okay, we're going to go with Raging Bolt, and we're going to go with the Pelipper right away. So I want to pin this slot, okay, just in case. So he summons everything, but this is still fine. Look how much damage we're going to do. So he's going for the Helping Hand Astral, right? I'm going to go with Wide Guard, okay, which is fine by me. He actually goes for E-Force anyway, so we don't take damage, and then we go for Snarl. Boom, punish, dealt, or he's lost so much momentum turn 1. Pelipper already having good value. Here comes the Ogerpon. That's fine. He protects, so he dodges one type of Snarl, right? I went for Weather Ball in that slot, just in case he went into the Incineroar, right? But he didn't go into Incineroar, right? So that's unfortunate for me. Now he goes into Incineroar, okay? So still, we go for Snarl. We still want to pin slots, okay? So I want to protect the Pelipper. I don't want to get, you know, Ivy Cudgels or you know, Wood Hammered or Horn Leech. But I'm still going for Snarl, and Raging Bolt still takes this pretty well. And now I can click the Electric move into Ogerpon, right? Because we take the Ivy Cudgel. And then here's the Weather Ball. Boom, instant deleted instantly, right? There's the value. And then we delete the Ogerpon. We do get a crit, of course. It does matter, right? Because he did have a Spit that Foods. But hey, look, like so much momentum has been lost within the first few turns just because this Pelipper's on the field. And we're still at full HP. This Pelipper is still at full HP here, right? So he does have a single target move. Good on him to play around the Wide Guard, all right? Now he gets a +1 move. Now Calyrex is a little bit more threatening, right? But now we bring in Instant, and now all is fine in the world. He goes Protect there, and then he goes for Follow Me. Very strange play in that sense. But we always target the Calyrex here no matter what. We force the Follow Me, and now the Indeedee goes down, and that's pretty much all she wrote. And now we can just play some meme games with Calyrex here. You know, just letting the bird live another day, and he just goes for Terra Blast. Again, he's forced to click single target moves and cannot click his spread move because we have this Wide Guard idea on the Pelipper, which never lost a single point of HP. You saw how much damage it did with Weather Ball and Twinsin. The Wide Guard really limited in what moves he could click, okay? And then Raging Bolt did so much damage into this game, right? And that was the main idea. So if that wasn't enough evidence of Pelipper's supremacy, I don't know what is. Now, granted, my opponent didn't really play that well, but the Pelipper was a prime reason for that. This tour also from Tommy Tuesday also had FSU fan do really well here with Pelipper here. So I remember he reached out to me one time, asking for advice on Zacian. I said, you know what, just run it with Pelipper, right? And then this is the result. So like, again, second place in a tour like this is really good with Zacian because it's not one of the A or S tier restricteds in this generation. Imagine Zacian not being A or S tier, by the way. But we told him, look, best way to run it, use Pelipper, and look at the result. He gets A2 record second place. So really, really good result there. But again, restricted, Instant, Amoonguss, Urshifu, and then slap on a Pelipper. Okay, so like again, this is your filler. In fact, the restricted is your filler slot. You want Zamazenta, it works. You want Zacian, it works. You want Calyrex Shadow Rider or even Ice Rider, it works. Okay, then you have Raging Bolt here with the E-Webs result here. But this is pretty good for Zacian, right? Because you want to outspeed threats. And then no Tailwind here, but it still works. Okay, and then of course Choice Scarf Urshifu right here, like we said. So again, like it still works. Okay, so you know there's the formula. Pick a restricted, Instant Amoonguss defensive backbone, slap on Pelipper, okay, and then Urshifu to deal more damage with your Pelipper, right? And then your last slot is your flex slot, Raging Bolt, Farigiraf, whatever you want to put in there is your flexible slot. But the template does not change. But anyway, here's the team. You know, if you want to try it out, go for it. We'll probably find a way to turn it into a rental in May, of course, where we dish out about 5 rentals for, you know, the new format, of course. But anyway, here it is. Give it a go. Let us know how you do with Pelipper. And if you're running Pelipper yourself, what are you using with it? Let me know in the comments. But again, if you need coaching for the upcoming regulationG format, now that I'm back, feel free to sign up on the channel with Tier 3. If you look in the video description below or even in the pinned comment section, we have a link to join the channel with a Tier 3 sub. And then you get to have a one-on-one Discord call with me, and we get to build you a team the way you want it and the way you like it. And we show you how to do optimal EVs just like this. But feel free to reach out. But that's going to be it for now, folks. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good one.